just so that I don't forget people.
Yeah. We're there. It's at 9 o'clock.
Oh, well, I think it is 9
Do we have
exactly, but if you want to give folks a minute or two more.
Yeah. We need a quorum today, right?
You do. You have achieved a quorum.
Okay. I'll give them a couple more minutes. Any more coffee?
Yeah. Brent is signed in, but he said be right back. So
Okay.
I'm not sure if he's actually
Is Megan on?
with us. Megan's not on yet.
How's your son going? Yeah.
Busy.
Oh, shoot. Yeah.
Are you keeping yourself busy? You're making yourself busy.
Well, it's like the sliding door stops sliding.
Yeah.
So to take that, buy a new one, put it in.
Is this
Yeah.
metaphorical or actual?
Last winter, the heating system, some of my zone valves seem to be open all the time.
All right.
I haven't got to that yet. I'm gonna work on those.
It says you have access.
Yeah.
Out
I'm trying
of my
to.
shop. Stop working out.
Right.
So I've been messing around with that.
What's the iron bead like in the winter?
I can.
It's good.
Yeah, so keep it well. I mean, I've driven through it, of course, but yeah.
Last fall, they did ditches from my house north.
Okay. I had just.
So through the winter.
Oh, yes.
Almost every day was.
Part of the municipal road permit thing.
But almost every day, somebody was stuck in a ditch.
Yeah, the stormwater ditches.
Okay, Lucas is here, and Lucas is going to be welcomed as an alternate. Who's not one
I think
yet?
the pollinator pathways are, wow, it's so beautiful out there with the flowers. That's Denise and, no, the other one, Mary Baltz, too.
We should do that around the office.
We should. The
What are you
list
gonna plant the food for us?
around the office.
Yeah.
Well, it's called Tomorrow's Property. Talk to Sonny. He said, what do you think?
Oh, Kim Greaves. Who's Kim Greaves?
That's Christine usually.
Oh, she just changed it. Okay.
All right, well, I think maybe
Yeah,
I'll call the meeting to order just because.
you're
I know
in good
we
shape.
to-
You have 6 fiber required.
We have a lot of things right. We gotta go on a road trip. Oh. Sure. All right, yes, I'll officially call the meeting to order. And I guess we'll start with introductions. And we'll start with people online first.
Sure. Do you want me to
You want to
just call them out? Yeah. Brent, are you there? His audio is on.
Yeah.
Okay. Hi. Do you want to introduce yourself?
Yeah, this is Briggs Sheets, Town of Fairfax, Director of Public Works.
Christine?
Hi, Christine Armstrong in the Orleans County region.
Okay. I think Joanne's just here through AI. Joanne, you're not there in human form? Ken?
Good morning, Ken Mink, Georgia Conservation Commission, Georgia, Vermont.
Okay. I don't think I've missed anybody. Kristen Leahy?
Hi, just listening. I'm from Caledonia.
The Conservation District?
No, the town of Hardwick.
Hardwick, I'm sorry. I misunderstood you. Lucas?
Yeah, Lucas Goldfuss, Winooski Natural Resources Conservation District, and here as an alternate on behalf of Dan Kahneman.
Alternate to the alternate at this point, but not having,
Yeah.
we'll be
Very
seating
meta.
you a little bit later. And then I think the last person is Megan.
Good morning, Meg Rodier with Lamoille County Planning Commission.
Okay, I think that was everybody.
All right.
Oh, I'm sorry. Now in the room.
Yeah, we're in the room.
Mel Offeru. I am with Franklin County NRC. I'm here as an alternate for Lauren Weston.
Okay, yeah, and I'm Peter Danforth, Chair of the SPWIC, as well as District Manager for Lamoille County Conservation District.
I'm Richard Goff, alternate to Megan, and with the Lamoille County Planning Commission.
David Upson, Town of Hardwick.
I'm Linda Kurt, I'm a new hire at the Lamoille County District. Sarah Skilling, also with Lamoille County.
I'm Cliff Jenkins, I'm the Water Quality Project Manager, Northwest RBC.
Nora Brown, I'm the AmeriCorps and Assistant Water Quality Coordinator at NRPC. They're going to take care.
Thank you.
And Dean Pierce, staff of the quiz planner at the NRPC.
Well, thank you. Thanks to everyone coming here. I think we have a special day, right? We're going to do partly here and then partly on tour for those who are going on tour to Elmore to see some water quality projects, or one in particular, but I'll show a couple else on the way. But I think right now I'm supposed to, oh yes, Zoom norms and inclusive language and protocol, right? So meeting protocols, introductions of all participants at each meeting, which we just did. As possible, WIC members should have their Zoom name title the following: name, organization, voting or alternate, and pronouns if desired if you're online. WIC members are expected to have cameras turned on during the entirety of the meeting as technically possible. WIC members are expected to stay focused, avoid multitasking, and follow the guidance of, if you wouldn't do something in an in-person meeting, don't do it in a virtual meeting. WIC members will use the raise hand function on Zoom to indicate a request to speak. Come off mute. This is an effort to make sure all are heard in turn. All members will stay muted until called upon. If needed, quiz staff may mute participants to avoid background noise. And any comments made in the chat will be read aloud at the appropriate time by the quiz staff in full for the public record.
And I normally have more.
There'll be a test.
Yeah, I normally have more screen space. So if I don't get to your chat right away, someone flag me.
Okay, number 3, of conflict of interest declarations, if any, I guess I would
That's a
say,
standing item and there are no applications before you, and I can't imagine what else would require this disclosure.
well, I know that I'll recuse myself, I guess, as a voting moment today, but that has nothing to do with that, right?
You mean as far as voting for yourself if you're standing
I don't
for
wanna vote
chair?
for myself.
Well, that'll be up to you at the time.
Okay. All right. Review and adjust and approve agenda. Does anyone have any comments or edits for the agenda? Doesn't sound like it. Does this require a motion, the agenda?
Typically, there's a
Yeah,
motion.
okay.
to
So do I hear a motion to approve the agenda?
Don't be shy.
Yeah.
I'll motion to approve it, Megan from LCPC.
All right, Megan approves. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Okay, Mal approves, second, or whoever. We'll just say Mal because you said it first. All right. All in favor of approving today's agenda, please say aye.
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 Any nays?
Aye.
I jumped too fast. Any nays? All right, the ayes have it. We can move on to the approval of last meeting minutes. I'll give people a moment in case they haven't looked at it.
Sorry, quick question. If I wasn't there, do I need to vote?
Abstain.
Okay. I can-
Many people, I mean, you can vote.
Yeah.
That's what I've been taught, is that you could vote to.
Usually I
Many
ask
people
for an
don't
abstention.
want to because they weren't there.
Okay.
But it sometimes means the difference between being able to approve them or not.
Yeah.
All right, well, do I hear a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting?
To approve the minutes.
Okay, who was that? I'm sorry.
It's me, Brent.
Brent, okay, I've heard Brent make a motion to approve the minutes from last meeting. Do I hear a second?
I'll second them. Christine.
Okay, Christine, thank you. A second on that. Any abstentions? No? Okay, there you go. That's what it works. All right, all in favor of approving minutes from last meeting, please say aye.
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 Any nays? All right, the ayes have it. Minutes are approved. Okay, onwards to number 6. Public comment not related to items on the agenda. Suppose we have members of the public. But,
I'd say I'm happy to be here.
all right,
This is my first meeting.
awesome.
I'm excited.
Your first meeting?
Yeah.
I thought I saw you at other meetings. It was a different. Okay. A lot of meetings.
Yeah. We met about the hydro seeder.
Oh yeah, that's
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
That's right.
Yeah.
Okay, now it's all coming back.
Yeah.
All right. Next on the list, seating of members, if any.
And that would apply to Lucas because Dan had inquired about Lucas attending on his behalf if you were not able. And I just
Okay.
said the easiest thing to do would be to get the conservation districts to endorse the idea, which I think they did in the emails.
Yep.
So we would just WIC would recognize that going forward, Lucas would be seated as an alternate,
Okay.
an additional alternate. And the way the voting works, we've encouraged the ability to have, well, we encourage multiple alternates because we don't want to go without a quorum, and it's allowed.
Okay.
What are the requirements of a member?
What are the requirements of a member? There are 9 seats total, and they represent 5 categories. So 2 are municipal, 2 are regional planning commission related, 2 are conservation district related, 2 are watershed organization related, and one of those seats is empty. And then the last one is land conservation organization, which in this body is represented by the Vermont Rivers Conservancy. So you are representing that sector.
Who are the municipals?
The municipal representatives are Ken, who's from Georgia, and the second municipal representative is, having a brain cramp here. Who's the second municipal rep? Oops.
We said Brent. Oh wait, what did you say?
Brent is, oh, sorry, yeah, Brent and Ken are the 2
Ken.
municipals, yes. Right. And there are not alternates for those folks, so having alternates in the municipal sector would be great. So we should talk if what you're thinking is that you want to be in the mix as a start out as a municipal alternate. Okay. Yeah, I don't know if we can do that today.
That's fine.
Yeah, no, I'm putting the pieces together.
Yeah.
Okay. So is there any more discussion necessary for that?
No.
Okay. Budget adjustment requests, if any.
Yeah, and so there was a request by Orleans Natural Resource Conservation District for a small increase in the budget for their Cemetery Brook project, which was proved. It's the under 10%. It was only, I think, like $600. So for everybody's benefit, this group, the Basin Council, makes recommendations on applications. Those applications result in contracts, essentially, or agreements for a project for an amount. There are rules in place that say if the group that received that funding needs to get a budget increase, if it's a small increase, it can be approved administratively. So if it's less than 10%, it's something that can be approved just by the QUISP staff. If it's between 10 and 20%, it's QUISP staff plus the chair and vice chair, unless one of them is the person asking for the adjustment, in which case we bring in another member of the council. But when it's 20% or more, then it has to come back to the entire basin council to vote on the request. And the thinking behind it is that it helps keep the process moving, basically, since this group meets every 2 months. So, and when it's less than the 20%, it's really, it's approved, but the report is given so that the basin council knows that it happened.
I have a somewhat related question. We have a outstanding grant that, after talking with Karen Bates, we probably need to just nullify it because they're not going to be interested. The DC is not interested in funding it. So that would be the Lacoste Road improvements.
So if there's a project that is essentially going to be discontinued, abandoned, that's handled through reporting. We would let the basin council know that this is happening, but it's formally handled through reporting to DPC. So it gets dropped off the rolls.
Okay, so I need to talk to them directly.
And if you and Karen have determined, this one's going to stop, then let's trade emails on it.
Okay.
And then we make sure that the annual report that we have to do in the next month or so will list that project as terminated.
Okay.
Yeah. And that's happened before in the Missisquoi Basin. There was a project that was funded for design, but then implementation that it stopped. And there's another project in this basin that was awarded to the town of Jericho, which was on, then it was off, and then it was on, and now it's off, and maybe it's on. And at some point, it may be just terminated like before, which would just mean that money, which is kind of shown in one column, will move back.
All righty. I guess the next thing, selection of officers.
Yeah, and convention. The convention has been for the staff to hold the gavel while nominations for the chair and vice chair are made. Actually, just for the chair, because once the chair is elected, the chair will run the show for the vice chair. And I should also say there was something in the meeting packet that if you read it carefully, you might have had questions about, and that is under the bylaws at the meeting before the annual meeting, the body has the chance to say, we aren't going to need a nominating committee. And we did not do that. That's my fault. And I have made appropriate adjustments in the calendar system so that it won't happen next year. But by default, there was no nominating committee, although last year you voted not to have one. Right. And we're just left with the situation that to determine the chair and vice chair, the nominations will come from the floor. So I would ask, are there any nominations for the chair of the Basin Council for the coming year?
I nominate Peter Danforth.
Unlike Trump, I don't want to.
And is there a second? I see Christine's hand. Peter, would you accept that nomination if it's made?
I will accept that. Yes.
Is anyone else chomping at the bit? I don't think so. So all in favor then of electing Peter Danforth as your chair for the coming year, please signify by saying aye.
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 Let's see, 1, 2, 3 online.
Aye.
4. So I'm not going to count you, Lucas, because, but I'm wondering about rent. Did we have 5 yet? Did you not vote for yourself? You can.
I think someone just raised their thumbs up. Thumbs up.
Yeah, that's from Kendall, I think.
I'd
Okay.
rather not.
Oh, Brent.
Okay, so Brent, all right, so we have 5.
It's hard enough.
Congratulations. Peterson, you are re-elected as the chair, and the gavel's passed back to you.
Heated race.
No reasons to do tax and,
I will be, I guess I'll say now, I will be absent for the next meeting, I think in
You had
September.
given a heads up about that.
Yeah.
And this is based on the fiscal
And then that
year?
will be.
Sorry?
Is this based on the fiscal year?
It's based on the state fiscal year, and so, yes, it's the first meeting after the start. So that's why it's this one.
Oh, vice chair, yes, first. All right.
Yes, sir.
Thank you, everyone.
So,
we have updates to go into next.
well, there's an issue of the vice chair.
Oh, yes, sorry. I need
Oh,
more
did
coffee.
Lucas have a question? Oh, sorry, did we? Yeah, we did. We took care of Lucas.
We didn't vote on
It doesn't require.
it. Okay.
I think in the past, they might have done it as kind of a signal, but it's not required. At least I'm pretty sure.
Oh, nomination for vice chair, right. Do we have any nominations other than currently present?
No one has indicated to me that they would either wish to be chair or wish to no longer be chair.
or not present.
Or not.
Or not present? All right, I mean, you can go ahead and continue, like, that's fine with me.
To just to hand to
Yeah,
to
that's fine.
solicit the
Because you have
okay,
everything in front of
okay,
you. and
I
it's
gotcha.
like, yeah.
I gotcha. We're at this point then where we're facing the question of whether or not anyone would like to be the vice chair for the coming year. And I need to change the view here so I can see more faces here.
I nominate Ken Mink.
Thank you, Ken. Ken has nominated Megan as the vice chair. Is there a second? Christine, I think you're trying to speak. Oh, I see Brent, your hand is up. Is that a second?
Yes.
Thank you. And Megan, you're interested in accepting such a position if it was available?
Yes, definitely.
Excellent. Anyone else chomping at the bit? Doesn't appear to be so. So all in favor of Megan Rodier becoming the vice chair of the Lamoille Basin Council, please raise your hand or say aye. So Ken, Christine, Peter, Mel. Anyone else?
That's fine.
That's fine. Okay, excellent. Well, we've handled that part of this.
Yeah, thank you, Dean. I just didn't have everyone in front of me, and it's
Yes,
gonna be hard for me to
totally
draw
get
that
it.
one.
Oh, and I wasn't sure. Yeah. Congratulations, Meg.
All right, Meg.
Okay,
Let's get to
thanks.
work. All right, we ready to continue on? With updates, expedited project development program.
Yes, and I was thinking before this meeting that it's an unusual meeting and that it's an annual meeting and we're doing our vote and we're also trying to do something different by incorporating a site visit into the program. So this is going to be fairly brief. This is material, excuse me, that was included in the packet at the last meeting, but we didn't get to it because all of the time was taken reviewing the 8 or so applications. We'll mention what the timing is for the next round. But we wanted to just bring to the attention of the group again, and this is a little bit repetitive, and that's why I'll be brief about it, because it was in the packets last time, that there are basically two opportunities for gaining funds from the QUISP process. One is the standard application, and that's on a schedule that's on the website. People submit their applications through an online form, and they come into the staff, and we compile them, and then they come to the group for a vote. Those are for all types of projects, all types of work, everything from what's called project development to design to implementation. There is also another track for funding that is for one category of work called project development, which is the type of work that happens after an initial idea for a project has been developed, but before you really know what it is you're designing. You might have a couple of different ideas for what you're designing, but you haven't settled on one, and so project development funding is available for that type of work. So last year around this time, DEC was encouraging the more utilization of this type of money and this type of work. And the response of the Basin Council was to basically approve a program where applications for set amounts of money, kind of like seed money, were pre-approved. So the idea was, instead of having to wait for the funding round and submit your application and then have it voted on, it was something that was more expedited. And so that's what happened a year ago. It's a somewhat simpler application form. Okay.
It's like a blow.
Yeah, that's the hook. It's my signal to speed up. Yeah, so simpler application form and not having to wait for the board to meet to make its recommendation. Now, at the time that this was talked about and approved, it was also discussed that we would try to get an ID number for projects in advance. So one of the things that is required when the money that the clean water service provider provides is used is something called a watershed project ID number. And getting those numbers is sometimes very easy and sometimes more of a challenge, frankly. You got to negotiate back and forth with your idea. And so last year we talked about seeking a number that could be used whenever this money was obtained. To basically, you got a simpler process to get the money, and you've already got a number that you can use with the money. But a year ago, that wasn't possible. And two organizations sought the money and they had ID numbers, or they got ID numbers as part of their ramping up of the process. What we wanted to make people aware of before the last meeting, and that I'm saying today, is that something changed at DEC in the last couple of months. And so they finally agreed to the idea of issuing an ID number that anybody who's getting funds through this simplified process can use. So I think you can see it on the screen, and it was in the packet. There is an ID number that you can use if you don't already have one. And that saves people a little bit of time and a little bit of effort. But we just wanted people to know it's happened in both basins, but the two basins that the Regional Planning Commission, Northwest Regional Planning Commission, is involved in, we have separate numbers for each. And it's the sort of thing where it's going to be, for people that have been in this type of work for a while, it's like a block grant. We're basically able to use the project development funds like we were running a block grant program. So you will use the number, and another organization might use the number, and then by a certain date, you'll all submit your project development spreadsheets to the QUISP, and then the QUISP will aggregate it, and then we will submit it to DEC. So anyway, the good news is that if you didn't have a number and you want the funds fast, you can use the number that we've been given. In the Lamoille Basin, just as a reminder, it's up to $5,000 requests, and it's something that you can seek $5,000 once every 365 days. So if you got $5,000 today, then next year plus one day, you could seek another 5,000. That's how it was set up. Any questions about this? Yeah, Richard.
Who are the pre-qualified partners?
So the pre-qualified partner organizations are the ones that went through the process when the QUISP was created. So it's the Regional Planning Commission, the Conservation District. There are some towns that got pre-qualified. For example, Jericho, who I'd mentioned before, the project on again, off again. I can give you the complete list. It was, I didn't.
Underhill.
Sorry?
Underhill as well. And,
Underhill. So the Underhill project was being done by the Chittenden County RPC.
Oh, okay.
So they're the pre-qualified partner. Ken, I see your hand up. Just one sec. If, yeah, I'll circulate the complete list. It was something that we had in front of us, and it'll actually be growing by one because last year the Vermont River Conservancy wasn't pre-qualified, and they have in the last year become pre-qualified. And the way that process works is there's a, when the QUISP system was created, they said that there has to be a pre-qualification at least once a year for partner organizations and for contractors. And what we did initially was we did a solicitation. Hey, do you want to become a partner? And now it's possible for a partner to seek that at any time. It's a rolling application process, which is why the River Conservancy got it. Ken?
Yeah, I think your associate applied for this program. I don't know if it's the right time to ask about it now.
You're asking for a progress report from Cliff about, yeah, I think, yes, it would be appropriate, I guess. I mean, or maybe at the end of under updates, but.
Whenever.
I can clarify now that I didn't seek the expedited project
In the end.
funding because the proposed budget ended up coming in over the $5,000 cap on it. Yeah. But I can say that I, as the project manager from NRPC, have solicited bids and I think we'll be in a place to select a contractor by next week.
Yeah. So on this slide, Ken, where I say 2 organizations have used the process so far, third considered but opted to apply, that's what it means, because like Cliff just said, originally it was going to work, the budget was going to work for less than 5,000, but then it turned out it wasn't. So he submitted an application that was approved under the regular process.
Okay.
What are the typical deliverables for this general project development?
It's the same project development checklist that we all,
okay.
I won't say love and adore,
And the
but we
project
are
types table.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Nothing about the deliverables changed, just the process for getting the money and being able to start the work. And I know, for example, Lauren just submitted 2 applications yesterday for the Mrs. School, which I will get to tomorrow. And so the next slide is, this is just where you would go if you looked up project 12908. We called it even block grant light for project development. So this is what explains how it works. And so basically, if somebody gets money using this ID number, then we would need to have everything back by before July 1 of 2027. That's basically the end date for this. It's a block grant program. No, it's not a block grant program. Any other questions about that? If not, then maybe we just roll along.
O&M program?
So we've talked a bit about O&M in the past, and this was meant as an update about O&M related work. So for people who are new here today, the funding that comes to the basins through a formula, through the clean water service providers, includes money to plan projects, to design projects, to build them. And there's also a part of that funding that is to help maintain them. The responsibility of the QISP is to make sure that the projects it sees built are maintained so that they continue to provide the phosphorus benefits that the formulas say that they do. So there's a whole machinery that goes along with that. There's something called verification. So when a project gets done, then a year later, it has to be verified to see is it's doing what it's supposed to do, and so on. We were including this material because we wanted to get some idea from folks or share some idea of what we were understanding. We, as the clean water service provider, felt that a lot of the partner organizations that get the funds to do projects might also want to be in charge of doing the O&M. And there are several organizations that would like to do O&M, or at least have that option. So going forward, we are going to include a question on the application form that basically asks, when you're asking for the money, are you also interested in doing the O&M? And people above me tell me that by having that question in the application form, we would then be able to give the organization the O&M work if it wanted to. And when I say give them the O&M work, it means signing an agreement to perform the O&M activities that are described in an O&M plan. Now, we've added the questions so that in the next application round, we will have this simplified. But before we did that, we're told now that for the projects that have already been funded, we will have to do a competitive selection. So if you have a project, Gesundheit, that was funded and you just implement it, I'm not going to be able to say to the partner organization, if you want to do the O&M, you can. We have to do a competitive selection. So on this slide, I've quickly gone over, and I think there were materials. There was a longer memo in the packet last time. It's also on the website. So some partners, many partners want to do it, at least for their own projects. The thing that is proving enlightening to all of the clean water service providers is how much is it going to cost, and understanding the O&M costs for different types of projects is something that DEC really is trying to get a handle on. It's going to cost a fairly large amount of money out of the total QISP funds that are spent between now and 2036 or whatever to pay for it. And we're feeling our way along. We're not looking to enter into long-term agreements with anybody to do O&M services because we want to know what's really the right level of cost for these. It's going to be a learning experience for all of us. But it is, I guess, the thing I can tell everybody now is that it is going to be expensive. We're also operating under the assumption that when a project is approved for its implementation funds, no one has to come back to the Basin Council to get approval of the O&M funds, as long as they're reasonable. And that's another question. And I don't see Chris Rotler on the meeting today, but Chris Rotler is the technical manager at DEC, and he's the one who has been very, very clear that when the Basin Council is recommending approval for a project and the funding, it's also recommending it's giving approval to the funds to perform the O&M. This is a slide that highlighted a month ago what the interest was. I won't dwell on that. Partners versus contractors. I just wanted to say a little bit about this and the law that created the Clean Water Service Provider and Basin Council process recognizes two distinct categories of participants. Partner organizations, like we were talking about earlier when Richard was saying, who are those? They're the municipalities and organizations that do a lot of this work. And so they're typically performing a public benefit activity with independence. So this is, I know this is legalistic and I'm forgetting exactly where I pulled this from, but it's entities like towns, RPCs, conservation districts, watershed organizations, land conservation. That's just it's just how the Act 76 created it. And we fund them through subgrants. Subgrants have in them some greater flexibility than contracts. So we sign these master agreements with the partner organizations, and then we give task awards for you to do the work. It's all under the umbrella of a grant. On the other side is a different category of contractors, and they're not the partner organizations. They're the private enterprise, basically, that is doing work for profit with a very defined set of tasks before them. We are predisposed to having the funding go through the partner organizations, but that isn't exactly how, there's no requirement that it be. The CLIS could set up a master contract with a contractor and engage them to do the O&M for a bunch of projects. But we have not done that in either basin, but it's something that may happen down the road. Any questions on any of that? It's kind of dry, I get it, but it's also important, and it's going to become more and more important as the number of projects that are in the ground goes up. And if there aren't any other questions.
Yeah. Are there any more questions about O&M program? Maintenance, long-term maintenance?
Oh, Megan.
So Dean, I appreciate your note about the fact that, the O&M funding is going to take away to some degree from like design planning and other implementation funds. I'm just curious how, when you say you're not looking to enter into a longer O&M agreement, what kind of time frame are you thinking? Because I mean, in my mind, the first couple of years are probably the most important, right? Like the first 3 years with a project, especially if they have to go back and replant, trees or something like that. So I'm just curious what you're thinking for a time frame.
Yeah. Well, we've had discussions about a couple of projects in the Missisquoi Basin where my mind, it was between 1 and 3 years that an agreement would be signed. And when we solicited cost proposals, we asked them to cost out 3 years. But at this point, given the amount of dollars that are shown, we're not sure that we would want to sign a 3-year commitment. I wouldn't say that it's absolutely set in stone that we would sign it as a 1-year agreement, because like I said, we were thinking we might do as much as 3. So I'm just saying we're still sorting that out right now. I'd be saying I think things are leaning more towards it would be a 1 year or something like that rather than 3 years. Or if it's 3 years, there may be some kind of exit clause. I don't know. But I understand, and that was the reason. I mean, I understand the need for the continuity, which is why we'd asked for in this at first go at it for 3 years of costs.
Okay, yeah, that makes sense. I mean, really, in the first year, that's when you're going to go back and replant. Do the bulk of the maintenance, the initial maintenance. So.
Dean, so you're saying it's still in deliberation, like what the maintenance agreements are gonna be, or I thought those were?
So what is still being worked on is the contract for work on 2 projects in the Missisquoi Basin. That's what I'm meaning. It's the dollars that are actually going to flow for a project. Now,
Right.
we'll spend a minute talking about the 10 Bends project, but that's kind of in a different category because we kind of missed it. Yeah, it's in a different category in that it wasn't the subject of an agreement immediately after it was done. So, and then conditions are what they are, in which case it's going to probably take a different path or could take a different path, especially since the WIC recommended approval for the larger project that overlays some.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Oh,
So
yeah. It got complicated. Yes.
Yeah. So the specific thing I'm talking about is there are 2 projects that Mel's organization has completed that we had to act on to get somebody lined up to do the work. And then it set in motion all these questions like, can we go straight to the district and say, here's a contract if you want it? We were told that no, we have to solicit 3. We solicited 3. We got 1 cost proposal back. And that's what's leading to all the detailed conversations about what is this agreement going to be like exactly? Is it going to be for 1 year? Is it going to be for 3 years?
Okay, thanks for clarifying.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not covering everybody.
Yeah.
And now whether or not we, as the QUISP, issue a call for proposals from groups and we say, here's the opportunity, because the one that we published in Missisquoi was, here are 2 projects. What would you charge to do those projects? What could happen in either of the basins is we issue a solicitation that says, what would you charge to do 10 or 15 undefined projects? And then we put them on retainer essentially. But we're not there yet. I see Ken's hand.
Isn't it really a 2-part process? Because the yearly inspection shouldn't be very costly. The cost would come in the fact that if the inspection found an issue, I see it as 2 different operations, if you know what I'm trying to say.
Yeah, the verification costs are really not a factor here. It's the cost of performing the work. So to get into some of the more interesting aspects of this, frankly, part of the reasons why this has been slow to progress is because DEC had a policy that said you couldn't use herbicides on things like riparian buffer plantings. So that, like, wait a second, the contractors are saying we've got to use herbicides, and we recommend using herbicide spot spraying after the installation to improve the chances of survival. And DEC's policy was and remains, although it's probably going to change by this fall, that you can't use herbicides. And it's been months, and what we finally got from them was a tolerance for the contract, whatever. So Peter, back to this idea of like the agreement that we would sign with a vendor to take care of the O&M, it's going to have a table in it because their cost estimates say basically, if we use herbicides, it's going to cost X. And if we have to do it by hand, it's going to cost essentially 2X. And we're talking lots of zeros. And so what DEC finally consented to us, and we think it's kind of bonkers. We think that, and we're not like huge fans of herbicides, but what the people who are most knowledgeable about this are saying is that it's a it's a good management practice when done the right way. We think that makes financial sense to be able to use herbicides. So whatever agreement that we write, it's going to have something in it that says you could do either. And if DEC says it's okay, then that's what we want you to do. And we're expecting that the DEC's position will probably change, like I said, sometime this fall. And we just don't want to have to go back and change agreements to permit use of herbicides, because the cost is roughly half. Okay, so maybe some people found herbicides more interesting than the other stuff, but we're just glad that they sent an email that said, yeah, we think it's okay. You don't have to go back and change these other things as long as you are controlling it through the agreement, and that says, yes, they could do it if DEC ultimately changes its policy, because we just didn't want to have to keep waiting. Anything else?
Yes, so anything else? Do we have any additional announcements or questions?
Well, the one thing I was going to mention is that there is one application that was submitted a few months ago, and it's from the Fish and Wildlife Department. It's for a project that actually has multiple pieces. It was QUISP funding that was going to be used as part of some FEMA buyouts. But there were aspects of the work that were going to have phosphorus benefits. So it was actually a relatively small amount of money. It was $20,000 out of a much larger buyout project. And they'd submitted the application, but then they basically said, this FEMA process is taking way too long. We just want to put things on hold. So it was tabled, and it wasn't something that was ready for the last time when we thought it would come back. And I've checked with Jen at Fish and Wildlife, and it's still a real project. It would provide 4.4 kilograms, which is a cost effectiveness of $4,500, which is really good per kilogram. It's just that it hasn't happened. So if anybody was wondering, gee, what about that application that was submitted that we never did anything with? They've just asked for it to be on hold for a bit longer until the FEMA process timeline gets a bit clearer. They're still moving forward, just not at the pace anticipated, was the quote that I was given.
Where is the project?
It's in 4 spots. So let me just see if I've got, so one's in Morrisville, one's in Wolcott, and 2 are in Hardwick. I'm not going to be able to remember, beyond that, but we can give you the specifics.
I'm aware of where they are.
Oh, okay.
I just wondered.
Okay, yeah.
Confirming.
So the other 2 are Morrisville and Wolcott. So if you're looking for the home stretch, Peter, next meeting is September 25th. The next funding round, the non-expedited, would be opening on October 9th, and the deadline is November 13th. We still need a second representative from the watershed sector.
So where did we leave off when I mentioned pollinator pathways as a watershed group? Because we work with them, and I don't know, because they were left kind of like up here. And I work with them a lot, and I just thought, and they do, I mean, I know that they're private landowner based.
Yeah.
They're nationwide, and Canada too. But they just do so much work alongside of us that I just thought it would be something to.
Yeah. So when the question was asked earlier about like who's on the Basin Council, and the law says these different sectors, right, and watershed organizations have really 2 seats in it, and there's, I think, in the law and in the rule, there's some flexibility for what would be considered a watershed organization. When the Basin Council was set up, the Lake Champlain Committee was classified as a watershed organization, but are they really? I think it's like convincing Lynn not to
Okay.
object. And so when I say Lynn, for everybody, the organization Watershed United Vermont has a role in helping shape the candidates for those seats.
Mhm.
They don't determine it in the end, but they kind of think they do. But I think it would be
I'll talk to Lynn.
let's set up.
So they're kind of informal group in the sense that, like, we're actually their financial, like,
Agent.
if they want to, yeah, if we're an agent for them, if they want to submit a grant, we'll do it under our name. And then, so that might be a little bit of a stretch there. It's just that they work outside of us as well, you know. And so yeah, I'll talk to her and see what she thinks.
Yeah, and I know that in the past, Lynn has expressed some concern about lake associations because she doesn't see them as being the same as watershed organizations. But I think it all depends on the lake association, because some of them are obviously very concerned about the watersheds that drain into their lake.
And then the lake we're going to be going to, like Elmore Association, they're very active within FOBLOG, you know, Federations of Lakes and Ponds of Vermont. So that makes them maybe a candidate. I don't know. Again, Lynn, right?
I'm already on the board with the idea of a lake association being a watershed organization. It's really convincing Lynn and Wolf.
Okay, all right. Well, maybe that connection with other lakes may make it something that she'd be more likely to vote on.
I would hope. So maybe if we're fortunate at the next meeting, there would be.
Okay, let me try to do that before I disappear into the woods.
But in addition to Peter thinking about it before he disappears into the wood, I would say anybody out there who has any connection at all to a group that you think of as, you know, that kind of like a watershed organization. I mean, some conservation commissions, now this is where it gets a little bit, you know, there is a municipal seat and Ken is involved with his conservation commission. And so there's kind of that, but I could imagine that in a different community, it might be that the conservation commission is almost like a watershed organization. We've talked in different settings about how the Lamoille Basin it would be great if there were more watershed organizations. So the Lewis Creek Association type organizations, or MRBA, or Missisquoi River Basin Association. But maybe we can wrap up on.
Yeah, so in terms of wrapping up, I noticed it says recess or adjourn. And if there's a tour to Elmore, do we conclude here and then say, hey, if you want to go to Elmore, it's sort of off the books? Or
well, Ken has his hand up, but what I was going to say before maybe Ken speaks is that, you know, if there are 5 site visits are a little bit of a different thing. This is all because of the open meeting law.
Right.
I mean, I guess it's going to depend on our 5. You're staying you have a meeting, right?
I was able to reschedule it.
Okay. Yeah, if there were going to be 5 folks and you were going to talk about anything other than just what you're seeing, then, you know, keep the meeting open. But I guess my recommendation would be that you end the meeting and then nobody talks about the business of the council outside of what you're looking at.
Okay.
But Ken, you have your hand up? Oh, we lost your audio. You're muted.
So sorry, not about that. I'm not going to make the site visit, but I kind of have a general inquiry question. What is you know, being that this is like a year-end meeting, what is the financial status of the quiz? How much money have we spent? All those kind of questions. I don't know if that's easily obtainable, Dean.
It's not hugely difficult. There were some materials that were included in the packet for the last meeting that may help. Whoops. If people can bear realizing something here. Sorry, folks. Isn't it? It's coming up. Okay. So I'm gonna try to answer your question by showing some of the information. Yeah, I wish it was as simple, Ken, as saying a single number. And maybe there is a way to do it, but I'm not thinking about it.
That's okay. Do you know if we have achieved the P reduction goal, Dean?
Yeah, so what, so are you seeing, what's going on here? Okay, that's just slowed update. So we had, at the last meeting, we had this slide that showed the amount of funding that was awarded was $380,000. And that represented 141 kilograms. And that's essentially 3 years of phosphorus requirement. So that's good, but that would say that we're doing a really good job. And I don't want to say you could start to coast, but that $380,000 was what was awarded, but the cost to actually get those 140 kilograms, which would mean like 3 years, and we've been at this, 2+. It's going to cost 2.7. And I know Megan made a good point about some of the numbers that were included in the applications being high. But what I'm saying, Ken, is that we're not counting any chickens until they hatch. The promise of doing well on the phosphorus reduction is there, but it's going to hinge on, it's going to absolutely hinge on the other funds making those projects happen and not stealing away or having to basically have to split the credits. So it's one of those things where, I know personally, I'm not counting credits until the projects are done. I mean, I had warned the group that I felt a little concerned about the full implementation costs for the projects that were before the group. But that was just me saying I'm worried about the implementation costs, and there are other funding sources, but as long as those funding sources don't also have a claim on the credits, I think we'll be good. Does that help?
Yeah, thank you, Dean. Yeah.
Okay. I guess I have a question before we conclude is how many people here are going to be attending the tour at Elmore? Okay. And anyone online?
I'm going.
You're gonna go? Okay. Should I conclude the meeting and then talk about Elmore after?
Yeah, scheduling was
Okay.
not covered by the open meeting law. So if you would like to take a motion to adjourn, I would think that's in
Okay.
order.
All right. So do I have a motion to adjourn the meeting?
Someone.
Second.
Oh, no, I'm not making it. I said someone.
Second motion.
Okay, I heard a motion from Brent, I think, and a second from Mel. All right, all in favor of adjourning the meeting, please say aye.
Aye.
All
Aye.
opposed? All right, meeting's adjourned. So, yeah. And if you want to stick around, I'll for those who are online to hear about this tour, stay online. So let me just give you a quick kind of history on where we're going. So Lake Elmore and Lake Erie, we did watershed action plans for.